Good morning everyone, welcome to yet another session of weekly roundup. Myself Nilesh and I will be taking this session. In this session we will cover important development of the last week. Before we start today's session, let's see the headlines which we will cover in this session. In this session we will cover 5 main news, 1 personality in news and 6 quick updates. In main news, first main news is about prototype fast breeder reactor at Kalpakkam attains the criticality, which is very important for the energy security in India. Then second main news is about death penalty imposed on policemen for the custodial deaths in Tamil Nadu. In third main news, we will see government have notified referral center Bhavasagara and Agharkar Research Institute as national repository for the deep sea fauna. And fourth main news we will cover a 1500-year-old reservoir unearthed on the Elephanta island near the Mumbai. The fifth main news is about Meghalaya have signed the MOU with the Starlink India to boost satellite internet in the state. In the personality in news, we will cover Babu Jagjivan Ram. So without wasting any time, let's dive into first main news of the day. The first main news of the day is regarding the indigenously developed prototype fast breeder reactor at the Kalpakkam have attained the criticality. We will see what are these fast breeder reactor, what are their significance, and what does the criticality mean. This topic is very important for you as the GS paper 3, which covers indigenization of the technology and developing new technology, right? In the India, there are some of the iconic and the historic moments in the various fields. In the field of nuclear energy, the fast breeder reactor is one of such instance. And why it is so important for the India's nuclear security and nuclear energy, we will see in the course of the discussion. So, without wasting any time, let's see the development. As we have already discussed, this fast breeder reactor have attained the criticality. This marks the significant progress in the second stage of India's nuclear program. There is 3-stage nuclear program of India. We will see which are those 3 steps and what is their significance in the course of discussion. But before that, and what is criticality means, we will see what is the nuclear energy is all about, what are its types, and then we will see the development. So what is the nuclear energy? So there is a formula, that is E is equal to mc square, where c is the light speed of light and E is the energy, and then this m is the mass. And what is this mass? So basically what it is stated that mass can be transformed into a energy, and when high molecules or the atoms such as uranium, when it is disintegrated into smaller atoms, it releases some energy as it loses some mass, and it also releases some neutrons. So in such reaction, it is called as nuclear reaction. So nuclear reaction is of 2 types. Firstly, it is the fission, and then there is fusion. In fission type reactions, as we already saw, the high molecular mass atom is break down into the smaller atoms or the smaller molecules or the smaller elements, and there is release of energy because of the some mass is transformed into the energy. However, in the fusion reaction, a smaller atomic number elements such as hydrogen or the helium are clubbed together to form the higher elements such as helium. Here hydrogen and hydrogen ions are clubbed together to form the another element such as helium, and in this process also there is generation of the energy. However, to generate this kind of reaction, it is also called as thermonuclear reaction. Why it is called as thermonuclear? Because to create this reaction there is need of high temperature, and this high temperature maintenance is very difficult, and that is why this fusion reaction is in experiment type and it is not commercially exploited. However, this fission reaction can be attained with the commercial base because it is very easy to attain as compared to the fusion reaction, and our nuclear program is based on the fission reaction and it does not contain the fusion. So please remember this fact in your consideration. Now we will see what is the criticality means. Please see, when a atom such as uranium atom is bombarded with the neutron, it is split into the lighter elements and then it releases some energy, and then it also releases some of the neutrons. 2 to 3 neutrons are released, but these 2 to 3 neutrons are, some are absorbed by the material, some are lost in the reaction, and only few neutrons are available in the reaction. And when these neutrons are bombarded on the other uranium atoms, those atoms also split and this reaction continues. For this reaction to continue, there should be sufficient amount of neutrons in the reaction, and when then there are sufficient amount of neutrons in this reaction, then reaction is self-sustaining. There is no need to provide the neutrons externally, and that is called as criticality. When the reaction is self-sustaining, it is called as the nuclear reaction is critical, right? So this is the definition. Criticality refers to the situation when each fission involves the release of the sufficient number of neutrons to sustain an ongoing series of reaction. In other words, it is a point where nuclear reactor achieves a self-sustaining chain reaction. So this is about the criticality. This is about the nuclear reaction, fusion and fission. I hope it is clear to you. Now we will see the 3-stage nuclear program of India and why it is very significant for India, right? Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba in 1954 first he gave this 3-stage nuclear program of India, and it is very important. We will see why it is very important for us. In first stage, we use natural uranium. It is generally having the uranium-235 and large amount of uranium-238. So this 235 is radioactive and is actually disintegrated. And in this we use pressurized heavy water reactor. Here heavy water means this water is of the deuterium. Deuterium is the isotope of the hydrogen and it is written like this. So it is the isotope of the hydrogen and it is heavier than the hydrogen. That is why it is called the pressurized heavy water reactor, right? So in this case we use the natural uranium, that is combination of uranium-235 and uranium-238, and in this reaction what happens, we actually get the electricity because of this uranium is converted into the lighter elements, and then we get plutonium 239 because this uranium is gain the neutron and it is converted into the plutonium 239, and this plutonium is important fuel for the radioactivity or the nuclear fission reaction, and this plutonium is used in the second stage, that is fast breeder reactor. What is the fast breeder reactor? In this reactors, actually the more fuel is generated than the consumed, and that is why it is called as fast breeder reactor. And in this the plutonium is used, and with the plutonium and the uranium-238 there is more plutonium is produced. And in the latter stage, what they do, they will introduce the thorium instead of the uranium 238. And what happens, this thorium is converted into uranium 233, which is also radioactive element, and it can also be used as the fuel in the nuclear fission reaction. And this fast breeder reactors, we get the excess amount of fuel for the third stage, and in this stage we actually use this uranium 233 and the thorium, and this thorium is converted into uranium 233, and it also generates the high amount of electricity. And it is very important because India have the large amount of thorium resource at its coastal sites, particularly Kerala and other regions, and this thorium can be used for the India's energy security. And that is why this three-stage nuclear reaction or the three-stage nuclear program is very important to utilize the thorium in the nuclear fission reaction in India. So this is the three-stage reaction. We have already seen that in the first stage, the natural uranium is used. In the second stage, it is fueled by the mixed oxide of the plutonium 239 and uranium 238. And in the later stages, the thorium 232 is introduced. And in this process, you get uranium 233, which is also a fuel. And in the third stage, we are fueled by the uranium 233 and the thorium. And this thorium is again converted into uranium 233 because of the bombardment of the neutrons, and this fuel is then used in the third stage to get the electricity. So this is India's three-stage nuclear program. When question will be asked, please draw some diagram like this and try to explain it, right? Question can be directly asked about the various fuels used in the various stages and what are the processes used. So please remember this thing also as prelims is approaching, and there can be question regarding the nuclear fusion and the nuclear fission and the various stages of the India's nuclear program. But please remember that in these three stages, the fusion reaction is not included. So there is fusion reaction experiment going on, such as tokamak experiment. So question can be asked regarding it separately, but India's three-stage nuclear program is about the nuclear fission reaction. So it should be clear for you. So this is all about India's three-stage nuclear program. Now we will see about the fast breeder reactor and what are the significance of the fast breeder reactor, right? So firstly, we will see what is the fast breeder reactor. So as we already discussed, the nuclear reactor that uses the fast neutrons to generate more nuclear fuels than they actually consume while generating the power. That is the one thing. So they are actually generating more fuels than they are consuming. That is the one aspect, and that is why they are called as fast breeder reactor. So they are breeding the fuels. Then what is the location of India's fast breeder reactor? So it is in Kalpakkam, Tamil Nadu, and it is operated by Bhavini. What is the full form of Bhavini? So it is the Bharatiya Navikiya Vidyut Nigam Limited, called as Bhavini. So Bhavini is operating the India's fast breeder reactor, right? Please remember this. And it is power capacity is around 500 megawatts, and once fully operational, India will become the second country after the Russia to have the commercial fast breeder reactor. So it is the only technology which have with the Russia and India, and no other third country have this technology. So this is also very important. And what are the features? So uses indigenously produced uranium plutonium mixture of the oxide fuel and utilizes the liquid sodium as the coolant. So in the first stage, they are using coolant which is pressurized heavy water, but here the coolant is liquid sodium as the coolant. So please remember this fact also. And then there is uranium-238, which is as the blanket surrounding the fuel core will undergo the nuclear transmutation to produce the more fuel, hence name the breeder. And after some time, when we'll have the sufficient plutonium, what they will do, they will replace this blanket of uranium-238 with the blanket of thorium-232, and then it will be produced uranium-233. So please remember this fact also. So this is all about fast breeder reactor. You can also remember some of the facts about the India's ongoing nuclear reactors which are in operation. Question can be asked about it. So there are 7 places in India where there is these reactors which are working, and you should remember those places. Question can be asked directly. So one is in Narora, which is in UP. Then there is one in Rawat Bhata in Rajasthan. Then there is Kakrapara in Gujarat. Then there is Jaitapur, which is not in operation, but then there is Tarapur in Maharashtra. So there is one reactor in the Rajasthan which is in work in progress. Please give the name of it. Please forget the Jaitapur. Then there is Kaiga. So Kaiga in Karnataka, and there are 2 nuclear reactors in Tamil Nadu. One is Kalpakkam, and you have to write the name of the 7th reactor which is also in the Tamil Nadu. So this is your homework. Please see what is the 7th reactor which is there in the Tamil Nadu. So this is about it. Now we'll see the next thing, that is significance of the fast breeder reactor. The first significance is stepping stone for the 3rd stage of the India's nuclear program, as we have already seen, right? Then inherent passive safety features. What it means? It is ensuring the prompt and safe shutdown during the emergency, unlike the other nuclear reactors. Then it have the reduction of the nuclear waste. Why? Because the nuclear waste of the stage 1 is used as the fuel of the stage 2, and that is why there is a reduction of the nuclear waste. Then India's 3-stage nuclear program will get the boost, and the vast reserves of the thorium can be utilized. And then there is Genesis. It was presented in 1954 by the Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba, as we have already discussed it. So this is all about this news. It is very significant for India, and the question can be asked in the prelims or at least in the mains in the upcoming examination. So please prepare it very carefully. Right, now we will see the previous year question asked regarding it. Please see this question. In India, why are some nuclear reactors kept under IAEA safeguards while others are not? And please see this option. Some use uranium and other use the thorium. This is not making any sense. Then some use imported uranium and other use domestic supplies. Some are operated by the foreign enterprises and other are operated by the domestic enterprises. This is not true. Then some are state owned and other are privately owned. All are state owned. So what is the answer? Answer is B, that some uses imported uranium and other uses the domestic supplies. And as they are using the domestic supplies, they are not obliged to be safeguarded by the IAEA safeguards, right? So this is the answer. Please see this question. To meet the its energy demand. Some opine that India should pursue the thorium as the future fuel of the nuclear energy. In this context, what advantages does thorium hold over the uranium? So first statement is thorium is far abundant than the uranium. Haven't we discussed this? So it is correct, right? Then on the basis per unit mass of the mine mineral, thorium can generate more energy compared to the natural uranium. Is this correct? The answer is correct. Please remember that question can be asked, and it is asked previously also. Then see this third statement, uranium produces less harmful, thorium produces less harmful waste than the uranium. This statement is also true. So what is the answer? Answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Please remember these facts. UPSC have tendency to repeat the facts after some time. This question was asked in the 2012, and UPSC can ask this question again because the India's fast breeder reactor have attained the criticality. Please see this question also and try to solve it at the home. It is about the thermonuclear experimental reactor, and we have also discussed it, right? So it is about it. Now we'll see the second main news of the day. And the second main news of the day is about the death penalty imposed on the policemen for the custodial deaths in the Tamil Nadu. And this topic becomes very important for GS paper 2, that is the functions and the responsibilities of the various bodies in the India, right? So without wasting any time, let's see the development and the background of this news. So this penalty is imposed by the additional district and the sessions court in the Madurai after the death of the two person in 2020 in the custody. So there was father-son duo in 2020 when there was COVID lockdown, and police detained the father first, and to inquire about it, son went to the police station, and because of the ego and the other issues, police beat them to their death, and there was huge uproar regarding this death in the Tamil Nadu. Then High Court take the suo motu cognizance of the case, and this case was referred and taken by the court itself. And after the span of 6 years and the heroic act of one of the female constable in that police station who gave the testimony against her fellow policemen, these policemen have finally got the death penalty. They have the option of going to the High Court and the Supreme Court, but the statement in itself is very important for the police forces who have the colonial mindset even today, after we have the constitution which safeguards the human rights and the fundamental rights of the every citizen. Still, police don't understand that every citizen is not criminal until proven guilty, right? So this is the one aspect very important for the police accountability and transparency, and also very important for the human rights and the upholding the fundamental rights in India. So this is why it becomes very important for you, and question can be asked in the mains and also in the prelims regarding the various constitutional provisions, articles and the various Supreme Court judgments regarding it. So that is why it becomes very important for you. Now we'll see what is the custody means. What is the custody means? So BNSS 2023 says that there are two types of custody, right? Firstly, a police custody, and then there is judicial custody. In police custody, the person can be kept for the 15 days for the interrogation, and after that he will be in the jail or the judicial custody till he or she gets the bail. So this is about the custody. It is mentioned in the BNSS. That is the one aspect. Now we are talking about the police custody and the deaths in the police custody. And what are the reasons for the deaths in the police custody? As we already discussed, the mindset of the police is colonial, and they treat citizen not as their masters, but they consider themselves as a masters of the citizen. That is the one aspect, the colonial legacy and the power they get through the constitution. They often forget that what are their constitutional duties. That is the one aspect. Then there is rewarding brutality. So many times what happens, because of this brutality, the many people, even if they are not guilty, they actually confess that they are guilty. And because these results are very quick, people and media and politicians generally award such kind of policemen for getting quick results. That is the one aspect. Then there is social pressure. So many times what happens, when there is some accused for the heinous crimes such as rape or some other crimes, people don't often understand that this person can be a non-guilty or innocent. And generally people want instant justice. But please remember that instant justice and instant Maggie are the different things. Instant justice sometimes can also impact somebody's life and also impact the actual justice. Because if a innocent person is getting a punishment, then actual culprit is roaming free, and it is always threat to the society. And that is why it is very important for society to understand it is not always advisable to expect justice from the policeman. It is not duty of policemen to give the justice. They are only a law enforcement, and there is another organ, that is judiciary, which will give the punishment to the culprits. And that is why there is separation of power. And that is why this is the problem with the society. Society want instant justice in the name of encounter or the other things, which is not advisable. Please remember that in the name of heinous crime, police try to always implicate the innocent one to get the quicker result and the appreciation in the society. One such case is the Khwaja Yunus. And this person was arrested in 2003 or 2004, and he was died in the police custody. And one of the police officer, whose name was Sachin Wajhe, was arrested in this case. Later he was again taken into service, and he was again found guilty or arrested for implanting bomb outside one of the famous businessmen in Mumbai. And that is why this is very important to tackle such instances very carefully. Otherwise, such people will again conflict another form of crime in the society, and it will be a menace to the society. Please remember this fact. Then there is belief in the force. So many times people think that the third degree punishment or the torture most oftenly get the result. And there is reflection of such things in the various movies such as Singham, then Ab Tak Chappan. But please remember that such kind of policing is not advisable. Police is the friend and the philosopher of the citizen. They are not there to punish the innocent citizen. And that is why such things can be good in the movies, but it is not advisable such policing in the real life. And police should always adhere to the law and the constitution by which they have taken the oath. If police is not adhering to the constitution, they should resign, because it is advisable there should not be a gun in the police uniform, right? So this is the one aspect. Then there is lack of training, sensitivity towards the police and about the constitutional provisions regarding it. So that is also one of the reason. And then there is corruption and extortion. In this case, there was a ego also involved. And then there is pressure from the political and society, and many times police assort to such the violence in the custody. So these are the some of the issues. Then there are some of the statistics. So custodial deaths are referred to the deaths of the person in custody due to the torture and inhuman treatment, and these figures are staggering. In 2024, National Human Rights Commission reported around 2,739 custodial deaths in India, which is very staggering. So this is about the basic development and the information related to it. Now we'll see the key issues with the custodial death. What are the key issues? Firstly, against the constitutional values, as we have already discussed. Then it is challenges to the accountability, because due to the lack of independent investigation, as investigation of custodial death is conducted by the same police department where the incident occurred, right? Then breach of human right and dignity, because of torture is a grave violation of human rights. For example, in 1972, a rape case involving the tribal women raped in the police custody in the Maharashtra. And please remember that this is not the single case. There are thousand and thousand cases every year that these police officers and these policemen are actually doing such kind of crimes in the uniforms. So please remember that you should held accountable, and police should be held accountable by the citizen, and that is why it is very important that a citizen should be aware of their rights. And also secondly, they should not promote such kind of behavior such as encounter and such instant justice things, right? That is the another thing. Then erosion of the police as the institution. Use of the torture have been linked to the perpetuation of the culture of violence within the police forces, and because of such kind of behavior, police are often not helped by the ordinary citizen in various crimes. Many times people do not come forward to give the testimonies, because if someone comes forward, police will punish them instead of finding the culprit. So such kind of policing is there, and it is found in many instances by the Supreme Court in the Prakash Singh judgment. Very many cases and various committees which have been found with time to time, but there is no change in the behavior of the police forces, right? So these are the key issues. Then there are some of the safeguards which we will discuss. First safeguard, which are the constitutional safeguards. The first is Article 20, that grants protection against the arbitrary and the excessive punishment by the police. Then secondly, Article 21, that is no person to deprive of his life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Then Article 22, that provides protection for individual against the arrest and the detention in certain cases. And then there are NHRC guidelines on the custodial death which have been issued in 1993, that is reporting of the custodial deaths or the rape within the 24 hours. So there is need of the police reforms as suggested by the Prakash Singh judgment in 2007 by the Supreme Court. Then there are various committees such as Ruberio Committee, then Malimat Committee, then there was Gore Committee. All have said that there should be more awareness in the police forces and there should be more reforms in the police forces. So please, you can write such initiatives and steps also, right? Then there are various Supreme Court judgments. One of the judgment we have already discussed. Then there is D.K. Basu versus the state of West Bengal, which is of the 1996, and where Supreme Court laid down the detailed guidelines governing the arrest and detention. Then there is Paramveer Singh Saini versus Baljit Singh, which is 2020 judgment. Supreme Court directed the installation of the CCTVs in all police stations. And then there are some global precedents such as Convention Against the Torture and the Other Cruel, Inhuman and Degrading Treatments or Punishment, UNCAT. India is the signatory but has not ratified it. So these are the some of the provisions. Now we will see the previous year question asked regarding it. Please see this question. Unauthorized wearing of the police and military uniform. It is the Official Secret Act of 1923. It is correct. Then knowingly misleading or otherwise interfering with the police officer or military officer when engaged in their duties. It is not part of the Indian Evidence Act, but it is part of the Official Secret Act of 1923. So it is not correct. And third is celebratory gunfire, and it is under the Arms Amendment Act of 2019, which is correct. So the answer is B. Only two are correct. There is this question: though the Human Rights Commission have contributed immensely to protection of the human rights in India, yet they have failed to assert themselves against the mighty and powerful, analyzing their structural and practical limitations such as the remedial measures. So here you have to write about their lack of strength, their appointments, their autonomy, and their power to punish, all those things. And you can also suggest the various measures such as Law Commission recommendation and various committee recommendation, right? And Supreme Court observations. So you can write answer in this aspect, right? Now we'll see the third main news of the day. So third main news of the day is regarding the government have notified referral center Bhavasagara and Agharkar Research Institute, which is in Pune, as the national repository for the deep sea fauna under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. It becomes very important for GS paper 3, that is biological diversity conservation, right? So without wasting any time, let's dive into the news. So what is the background? So Bhavasagara Referral Center at the Center of Marine Living Resources and the Ecology, CMLRE, in the Kochi, houses over the 3,500 taxonomically identifiable and geo-referenced voucher specimens, and Agharkar Research Institute Pune for its collection of the microorganisms and the National Fungal Culture Collection, right? So under the Biological Diversity Act, the repository will securely preserve the biological samples, act as the custodian of the newly discovered deep sea species, and build expertise in the deep sea taxonomy aligned with the UN Decade of the Ocean Science 2021 to 2030, right? So this Agharkar Research Institute is after the Gopal Ganesh Agharkar, who was the social reformer and the friend of Tilak, and he was very important figure for the children and girls education in Pune, and he was the author of the newspaper that is Sudharak. So these are the some of the aspects. Please remember that he founded some of the educational institutions such as New English School and the Deccan Education Institute and also Ferguson College. So in this context, please remember him as the social reformer also. Now we'll see about the deep sea. So please remember that. So this is the ocean, and this is the 200 meter. Then this is from 200 to 1000 meter, and this area is euphotic zone. Then this is the twilight zone, and this is a photic zone. So these are the three zones. This euphotic zone actually have the sunlight and vast amount of ecosystem and the living organism actually lives in the aquatic zone. And after this 200 meter, there is very little sunlight, and that is why it is called as twilight zone, because it is very dark. And here there are very less organisms which are living there. And then there are aphotic zone where there is almost no sunlight, and that is called as aphotic zone, which is below the 100 meters, right? So this is about it. And deep sea is the sea which is in the twilight zone or the downward. We'll see about it. So this is about the one thing. Now we'll see about the deep sea and what it is. So what is the deep sea? So it refers to the ocean region below the 200 meters, extending from the twilight zone to the abyssal plains and the deep seabed, as we saw in the diagram in the previous page. And it is the oldest and largest biome on the earth, constituting nearly 90 to 95% of the earth habitable space. So this is about the deep sea. I hope it is clear to you. Now we'll see the various importance of the deep sea. The first is regarding the climate regulation. So it understands the ocean current impact and it helps us to understand it. Then it is important for the food web support, as it protects the nutrient rich upwelling zones. What is the upwelling? So this is the ocean and this is the cold current. What happens? This cold current, when come to the ocean floor or the ocean coast, so it will bring various nutrients to the aphotic zone. And here there is large fauna, and that is why it is become very important. So it is for the important for the food web support. Then it is important for the bioprospecting, that is discovering the new medicine enzymes used in the COVID-19 PCR test was isolated from the microbe found in the deep sea. That is also one of the important aspect. Then what are the various threats associated? So firstly, it is the destructive fishing, such as directly destroys the habitats and depletes the resources. Then there is deep sea mining, and it extracts minerals causing the habitat disturbances. And then there is low resilience of these systems. So slow recovery capacity makes the organisms vulnerable. So these are the some of the threats. And here there are trawlers which actually use for the massive fishing, and they can also destroy it. So this is about it. Now we'll see about the global framework protecting the marine environment. So first is UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, and it is the global legal order to protect the marine environment and the marine equitable utilization of the ocean resources. Please remember this. Then there is conservation of the biological diversity, and it promotes the conservation of biodiversity. Then there is SDG goal 14, please remember that, and it focuses on the conserving the life below the water, right? So please remember all the 17 SDG goals. You can write those goals in your introduction or in your conclusion in the main answer writing, right? And then there is High Seas Treaty, BBNJ agreement, which legally binding, and it protects water outside the national jurisdiction. So these are the some of the global frameworks for protecting the marine environment. Now we'll see the question related to it. Please see this question. Consider the following statement. Global Ocean Commission grants licenses for the seabed exploration and mining in the international waters. This statement is not correct. Seabed Authority, International Seabed Authority actually grants these permissions. So the first statement is wrong, and when we eliminate first statement, you get the correct answer, that is 2 and 3. So the India have received the licenses, and then rare earth minerals are present on the sea floor in the international waters, right? So the answer is B, that is 2 and 3. Please see this question. Critically evaluate the various resources of the ocean. This question is asked in the 2014, which can be harnessed to meet the resources crisis in the world. So we have already discussed various resources in this discussion. So you can write all those things and which are the various problems and issues regarding it. We have already discussed it. You can write those problems and give the way forward, right? So this is all about the third main news. Now we'll see the fourth main news of the day. And what is the fourth main news? So fourth main news is regarding the 1500 years old reservoir have been unearthed on the Elephanta Islands. So we'll see what are these Elephanta Islands, why they are important, and then we'll see about the development. This is very important for GS paper 1, that is Indian culture salient aspect of the architecture, right? So without wasting any time, let's dive into this news. What is the development? So Archaeological Survey of India have excavated and found that sophisticated step reservoir on the Elephanta Islands. And during the excavation, several copper coins have been identified as belonging to the Krishna Raja of the Kalachuri dynasty and the 6th century CE. So this is very important. These Elephanta caves so this is the UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is the one aspect, and these are also called as Gharapuri caves, which are around 10 to 15 kilometers in the sea near the Mumbai. That is the another aspect, and these have the 2 religious caves. There are 7 caves, 5 belongs to the Hinduism and 2 belong to the Buddhism, and important is the Trimurti Shiva. You may have heard about it. So it is about the Trimurti Shiva, which is very important and significant, which is in cave number 1. Then there is also one of the thing, that is Ravana shaking Kailasa, and then there is also a statue of Nataraja. And that is why it becomes very important. And there have been various dynasties which may have contributed to the building of these Elephanta caves, such as one of the are the Kalachuris. Then there may be some of the other dynasties also, such as Vakatakas, Chalukyas. So these caves were inhabited from the 2nd BCE to almost 700 AD. So there was huge time scale where people used to live here. So this is about it and its background. Now we'll see about the Kalachuri rulers. So what are the important aspect of the Kalachuri rulers? And UPSC in previous year have asked the question about these minor dynasties, and that is why we are covering it. So about the Kalachuri rulers, what is their origin? So they were the Kshatriyas tribe mentioned in the Brahmanical epics and also Puranas. And Puranas are the eulogies of the various dynasties, right? That is the one aspect. Then which are the major branches and the rulers? So firstly, there were early Kalachuris or Kalachuris of Maheshmati, and those were from the 550 to 620 CE, and these were ruled over the part of the modern day Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. And which were the important rulers? So Krishna Raja, then Shankar Gana, and then Buddha Raja. Then there were another dynasty or the another branch, and this branch was Kalachuris of Chedi and or the Tripuri. Tripuri, you may have heard about the Congress session of 1938. So you know that Tripuri is in Madhya Pradesh, the same place, and those were ruled from their capital at the Tripuri around 9th century AD near the modern Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh, as we already discussed it. And who were the important rulers? So Kokala I, then Gangeya Deva, and then Vijaya Simha, right? Then there is third branch, that is Kalachuris of Kalyani, and those ruled from 1156 to 1151 CE, and though were short-lived, but significant branch was founded by the Bijjala II in parts of Karnataka and Maharashtra, right? And the Virashaiva or the Lingayat movement was founded by the Basavanna, a minister of Bijjala's court. So this is very important, and please remember this fact, right? So we will also see the religion and the society in the Kalachuri time. So Kalachuris of Chedi strongly patronized the Brahmanical religion and showing the particular devotion to Shaivism and the Vishnu worship, as we can see. And then there was Shakti worship, and the Yogini cult were highly prevalent, leading to the construction of Chausast Yogini temple in the places like Khajuraho, then Beraghat and Shardol. And please remember that it is very important for the design of our previous parliamentary complex. So this is all about the religion and society. Now we'll see the question related to it. So there is not direct question, but I have given you question for your reference. So which one of the following is not a Harappan site? So Chanudaro, Kot Diji, Sohagara and Desalpur, and the Sohagara is not part. It was actually a Ashokan Empire town and also Mauryan town. Others are the part. This Desalpur is in modern day Gujarat, and Chanudaro and Kot Diji are in modern Pakistan. So this is about it. So next main news is about Meghalaya have signed the MOU with the Starlink India to boost the satellite internet, and satellite internet is very important for you for GS paper 3, that is science and technology applications and effects in everyday life, right? So in this news we'll see what is the satellite internet, how it works. Before that, the Meghalaya is not the first state to sign such MOU. So it is the third Indian state to sign such MOU after the Maharashtra and Gujarat with the Starlink. And Starlink was launched in 2019 by the SpaceX, by the Elon Musk, and plans to have the 42,000 satellites in the low Earth orbit, right? So this is the one of the aspect. So there are generally 3 orbits, such as low Earth orbit, then medium Earth orbit, and then geostationary orbit. So these are generally around 63,000 kilometers. Then these are around 1,000 to 23,000 kilometers, and these are around 300 to 400 till 600 kilometers, right? So this is not actually very tight definition, but geostationary orbits are generally in the 36,000 kilometer range, and other are flexible, right? So this is the brief information. Now we'll see about the satellite internet. Before we discuss satellite internet, please see how it works. So this is the satellite phone. So it will transmit the system signal, and this signal will go to the satellite. So it will travel to gateway or other satellite as per the need, and then this signal will come here to the gateway, and this gateway will send it to the network control center, and then this network control center will send it to the satellite phones or the cellular phones or the landline phones or the satellite phones as per the need and the signal sent. So this is all about the satellite phone also can receive the signal from the satellite. So this is how it works. So we'll see about the satellite internet. So satellite internet refers to the internet service provided through the satellite placed in the geostationary orbits or the non-geostationary orbits. And non-geostationary orbits are low Earth orbit and medium Earth orbit, as we have already discussed. Unlike land-based internet services such as fiber or the cable broadband, it does not rely on the wires to transmit the data. As we already saw, it is the wireless transmission, right? And in the wire or the fiber satellite fiber internet services, there is a wired or the fiber optic cables. So this is the one of the aspect, improving the accessibility, deployment speed, and the long distance transmission. So this is about the satellite internet. Now we'll see the various infrastructural aspect. So it generally includes the three segments. What are these three segments? Firstly, it includes the space segment, and it includes the network of several communication satellites as we saw in the diagram. Then there is ground segment, which include the satellite measurement and the control networks, gateway stations and the control stations. And then there is user segment, include the communication terminals used by the user. So this is all about the infrastructure needed for the satellite internet. Now we'll see the advantages over the existing land-based internet services. Firstly, it have the global reach because it does not need the infrastructure otherwise needed. Then it is the important for the rapid deployment, as the infrastructure is minimal and it uses the satellites which are already in the space and the normal devices. Then there is disaster resilience. Please imagine, there is cut down of the wires and fiber optic cables, but in the case of satellite internet with the satellite phone, you can directly connect when there is disaster struck, and then there can be a network re-establishment very easily. It only have the problem, it needed the clear sky, and it is really needed a cost. So it is costly and it needed a clear sky. So these are the some of the drawbacks. What are the regulatory landscape? So Department of Telecommunication grant the licenses. Then Telecom Regulatory Authority of India recommends the spectrum. And then Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center promote, authorizes and supervises the private space activities. So this is all about the news. Now we'll see the previous year question asked regarding it. So the question is regarding the project Loon, and sometimes seen in the news is related to what? So it was related to wireless communication technology, and it was also by the Google, and it was a private venture. So generally UPSC can ask question about the breakthrough technology even if it is developed by the private player. So in that aspect, this Starlink is also very important for the satellite internet. And please try to solve this question. Has digital illiteracy, particularly in rural areas, coupled with the lack of information communication technology, ICT accessibility, hinder the socio-economical development? Examine with the justification. So you have to give the various example of the internet connectivity, number of mobile users, internet users, and service accessibility, then digital accessibility, education, health, all those things you can write the examples and give the answer, right? Now we'll cover the personality in the news, and this week's personality is Babu Jagjivan Ram. And why it is in news? Prime Minister have paid tribute to former Deputy Prime Minister of India, that is Babu Jagjivan Ramji, on his birth anniversary. Now let's see about the Babu Jagjivan Ramji. So he was born in Shahabad district, now in Bhojpur in the Bihar, and he was popularly known as Babuji, right? And he was a national leader, a very important freedom fighter and crusader of the social justice, champion of depressed classes and outstanding parliamentarian. His education was from the Banaras Hindu University and Calcutta University, and his key contributions are very important. He founded the Akhil Bhartiya Ravidas Mahasabha in Calcutta, then Khetihar Mazdoor Sabha for the agriculture labor, and All India Depressed Classes League. So the question can be asked by the UPSC, because previously question have been asked regarding the Mahatma Jyotiba Phule and Bhavasagara Ambedkar's organization which were founded by him. So the question can be asked about the All India Depressed Classes League. Then civil disobedience movement, Satyagraha and Quit India movement, he actually participated. And he appeared before the Hammond Commission at Ranchi and demanded the first time voting rights for the Dalit. So this is all about the personality in news. Now we'll see the quick updates of the week. The first quick update is related to Chief Election Commissioner, and what is the development? So Rajya Sabha Chairman and Lok Sabha Speaker have rejected the notice of the impeachment motion of the Chief Election Commissioner. And let's see about the Chief Election Commissioner. So Article 324 of the Constitution provide that CEC shall not be removed from his or her office except in like manner and like grounds as the judge of Supreme Court. And which are those grounds? A removal motion stating the ground of the removal can be introduced in either house of parliament. So in either house this motion can be introduced, and speaker, chairman may admit or refuse the motion, and if admitted, the 3-member committee is formed to investigate the charges, right? So there will be a 3-member committee. If committee finds the CEC guilty of proved misbehavior or incapacity, please remember this, proved misbehavior or incapacity, then both the houses must pass the resolution with a special majority. That is 2/3 of the members present and voting, and the at least 50% of the total membership, 2/3 members present and voting, and half of the membership of the house. That is the one of the aspect. And after passage of the removal motion, the president issue the removal order. So this is all about the CEC. Now we'll see the second quick update. The second quick update is regarding the Kalai 2 and Kamla hydroelectric projects, and it is very important. So Cabinet Committee on the Economic Affairs chaired by the Prime Minister has approved the investment proposal for the construction of Kalai 2 and Kamla hydroelectric project HEP in the Arunachal Pradesh. So these two projects are in Arunachal Pradesh, and on which rivers we will see. So Kalai 2 HEP located on the Lohit river, which is major tributary of the Brahmaputra, originating in the eastern Tibet and flowing through the Arunachal Pradesh into Assam. This is the one aspect. Then Kamla hydroelectric project located on the Kamla river, a major tributary of Subansiri river. So please remember on which rivers these hydroelectrical power plants are situated, right? This is the second quick update. The third quick update is about the lakes of Jammu Kashmir, and why it is in news. So CAG, Controller and Auditor General of India, highlighted the severe ecological decline in the lakes of Jammu and Kashmir over the past decade, and we will see which are these lakes. So firstly, it have said that out of 697 lakes, around 350 have disappeared, and 203 lakes have shrunk, and total 518 lakes are degraded. So this is the staggering number. And which are the important lakes in Jammu and Kashmir? Firstly, Dal Lake, and it is the urban lake in the Srinagar. So please remember one thing. Then having the floating gardens called as rad. So this is also one of the important fact. Then there is Uller Lake. So this is the second largest freshwater lake of the Asia with the Jhelum River as its main source. So Uller Lake is on Jhelum River and in Asia second largest lake. Then Hoker Sar Lake, and also known as Queen of Wetlands. It is the sanctuary for the migratory birds. So question can be asked where Hoker Sar is situated. So it is situated in the Jammu and Kashmir. And then there is Manas Bal Lake. It is the Mughal garden called the Jharoka, built by the Noor Jahan, overlooks the lake. Right? So this is all about the lakes of Jammu and Kashmir. Now we'll see the next quick update. Next quick update is related to Mission Mitra. And ISRO have launched the Mission Mitra to test the Gaganyaan crew for mental, physical and the crew operationality strengths. Right? So what is about the Mission Mitra? So Mission Mitra is mapping of interoperable traits and response assessment, and it is the behavioral study by the ISRO for the human space flight missions conducted in partnership with the Indian Air Force, IAF and Institute of Aerospace Medicine, IAM. Right? What is the objective? To assess the psychological, physiological and operational performance of Gaganyaan crew under the stress. It was conducted at Leh, Ladakh, simulating the extreme conditions such as hypoxia, low temperature and the isolation. So this is about the Mission Mitra. Now we'll see the next quick update of the day. And next quick update of the day is Project Marvin. And what is this Project Marvin? So Project Marvin is an AI program, is now central to US strikes against the Iran. Right? So we'll see about the Project Marvin. What is the objective? To automate the detection of the objects and the patterns in the vast volumes of drones imagery, reducing the manual analysis burden, and uses machine learning and the computer vision to identify targets, movements and the activities in real time. Right? So this is about this quick update. Now we'll see the next quick update of the day, which is the last quick update, and this is the exercise Cyclone 4. An Indian Army contingent will participate in 4th edition of the exercise Cyclone 4 at Anshas, Egypt. And about the exercise Cyclone 4, so it is bilateral India-Egypt joint special forces military exercise, and its objective is to enhance interoperability and joint operations capability. Right? This is all about this week's weekly roundup. To solve various quizzes and read about the monthly and other current affair magazines, you can visit our digital current affairs portal, where you can also solve various quizzes, and there will be another various materials which will be important for your UPSC preparation. So this is all for the day. Thank you. Have a nice day. Happy learning.